Welcome to Leominster Access Television and Neighborhood Snapshot. My name is Bob Saudelli. I am a member of the Leominster Historical Commission. Today's guest is Mr. Arcade Richard, a resident of the French Hill neighborhood, the east side of Leominster, the Mechanic Street area, the French Hill area, the St. Cecilia's Church neighborhood. You have lived on French Hill for years, but you weren't born there. You were born in Canada. Could you please, in the province of New Brunswick, when, please? May I ask that?
In October 1926.
So you are how old?
77.
77 years old.
And a half.
And a half. And you emigrated to the United States. When did you come to this country?
Back in 1948.
1948.
April 48.
April of 48. And what brought you here?
Well, it was, I made the move because it was hard to make out on our farm because of low land. By the time we get our products out, the market had already dropped to almost neutral. So I decided to make the move. At that time, there seemed to be plenty of work, and I had one of my brother-in-law that was here, and of course my wife was born from Leominster, so I guess that probably has a little bait, you might say, that draws me. But I was a little too ambitious to stay there. I thought that I couldn't see that I could make out there, so that's why I made the move.
So it was economic opportunity in the United States, which is so common. That's what draws many, many people, and the freedom. Yep. And also, you were going to marry a Leominster girl.
Yes, we married in June of 48.
And what was her maiden name, please?
Bellevaux.
Bellevaux. First name?
She was a daughter of Henry Bellevaux, the barber.
And what is her first name?
Claire.
Claire Bellevaux.
Yeah.
So you married Claire Bellevaux.
She was quite an asset to me because she was. I started carpentering, and then I went into to business of my own. And she always worked in offices, so she was able to do all the book work. Even after I incorporated 2 years after, she used to take care of all the book.
In our little conversation before the interview, when we began to start taping, before we started taping, we spoke, and you came to the French Hill neighborhood. You settled there. And what did you do for employment when you first came to Leominster?
When I first came, I got into Fort Evans for a company that's from Arlington. We were repairing barrack. I was there till about November. We finished the project in November.
Carpentry work at the barracks.
Yeah.
barracks
Repairing barrack. And then from there, in the fall, I went into a shop, Sheelig Manufacturing. Was on a sanding machine. It was good. I was making out all right. The only thing is, it was ruining my health. I lost 11 pounds in a matter of 6 weeks. So I said, this is not for me. So then I went out. When I went out, we had found a job on, which is now the golf course up on Wachusett Street. We went chopping wood for on a farm of Guy P. Harvey that used to have a shop here. We chopped off myself, my 3 brother-in-law, the 4 of us. We chopped 255 cords of hardwood, which was a good part of the golf course. Then from there, I went to work carpentry. In the spring, we started carpentry for my brother-in-law, and I worked for him up until the mid-1950 when I started on for myself.
And so then you mentioned you incorporated, you decided to go into business for yourself.
Yeah.
The carpentry business.
Yeah, I went on to carpentry. I had started doing some side work like screen, screening porch and screening. At that time, there was no aluminum windows and doors, so it was all out of wood. And then it was up to the point where I had to either quit my job or quit the side work. So I had a cousin of my father that came, and I asked him about that. I said, what do you think of starting into business? Well, he says, the smallest business well run is better than day work. So a couple of weeks after thinking about it, I started on my own. I never regretted it. I never ran out of work, as long as now it's been, well, since 1950, and I've never run out of work to see.
And
sometimes it was work that could not be done on account of weather or something, but not because, and I've worked for a company in Gardner for years and years. I did hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s worth of work.
so the farm boy from New Brunswick, America really, which is a wonderful, beautiful place, but America was truly the land of opportunity for you.
Then
your own business.
Naturally the family started, so it wasn't. When I moved in here, I did move with the understanding that I would never go back. I mean, I went in, I came in, if everything goes good, okay, I'll stay. If not, I'll go back. But I never went back as far as to stay. We used to go every year, of course, for vacation and to visit the folks, and because all my folks were all there. All relatives was there except for brother-in-law that I had here, and some distant relatives of my father was around here, Fitchburg and Leominster and Gardner.
So
but other than that, it was,
so everything went well. It worked out.
it worked out.
Are you retired now?
I'm supposed to be, but I'm not.
You're not.
And I really don't want to.
No.
If I'd stop, I wouldn't miss it.
You keep very, very active. And that's
I
the
love
secret.
working
That's the
wood. Matter of fact, the past few years I did a lot of antique repairing, and I even like to make furniture, design my own, and do it. I think it's very challenging, more so now that I think out in the field.
So you have a very positive attitude towards life, and that's key. And and you keep busy, because when I called your home to set up this interview, I got your wife on the line, and you weren't home. You weren't in Fitchburg or Sterling. You were in Haiti.
Oh,
so
yeah.
What were you doing in Haiti?
Well, I went there in Haiti 3 years ago to help the Sisters of Immaculate Conception. And
But you were in Haiti. You were in Haiti this month.
And from there, last year I was supposed to go, but on account of some dealing in Canada, a property that I was selling, I wasn't able to go. But this year I decided, because there was a lot of work that wasn't being done, and they were asking me to go. There was a lot of people going, but no carpenters. There was a plumber going, but no carpenters. So where we stayed, downstairs is the dining room for the girls. See, they have girls that they pick off the street, and they teach them whatever they want to learn, whether it's crochet, sewing, cooking, or computer, whatever they want to learn. It's a course of 2 years.
Down in Haiti.
After that, they go on their own. And there was in those room, it was so dilapidated that there was no screen doors. I mean, everything, pigeon, bugs, everything would come in. So, and there was some cabinet to be done. There was a chicken coop to be built. So I decided to go.
And you did all that
we went in January 10th, and I just came back Monday night.
And so you volunteered your talent and your time. It was a wonderful thing.
Well, whether I missed a week over here, it didn't matter that much, because it's I still do work, but I'm not committed that close that I could leave and go very well, which I...
It's wonderful that you did that, and in a few moments you're going to share another talent, not carpentry, but another talent with our viewing audience. I have to ask you to hark back, to go back to your early days in Canada before television, really, before all of
before everything.
Before everything. How did folks on the farm, and it probably wasn't so different at times in Leominster also, how did people entertain themselves in those days?
Well, it was said that there was a lot of, as you could say, amateur talent. You know, there was somebody, either they sing or they play some kind of instrument. We had to entertain ourselves. We had to learn to entertain ourselves because we had not even radio, no electric, no, even when I left there was no electric home, there was no telephone, no radio. There was one radio in the village that ran by battery.
Wow.
That's all there was. So we had to do our own entertainment. But it was done in a way that, you know, like, especially in the wintertime, there wasn't much to do except during the day we'd work in the woods, chopping our firewoods and some logs in order to try to have a little bit of income in the spring. But other than that, it was not necessarily planned, but we visited a lot, like among the neighbors, and sometimes somebody would come up and then, well, why don't you play this, whatever instrument they'd play. And for this, for myself, we didn't have the finance to buy any instrument, even though there was a lot of music in the family. Not on my father's side as much, but on my mother's side there was a lot of musician. And I always liked the sound of harmonica, but I couldn't afford to buy one. But I was lucky. There's a company from Montreal that sent me a booklet and to sell Easter card. And out of that, for a reward, they had a small harmonica. So I said, I got to do this. I did. I sold all the package of, and I got the harmonica. And after I started playing that, my father used to work on the CNR, the railroad. He was a carman there. And one night he came home and I was playing that. And, at that time I didn't know, but he told my mother on the side, he says, I don't think there's any music in him. I didn't hear that. I only heard that years after that. A couple of weeks later he came home and I was getting along pretty good. He didn't say anything. The following week he came home with a brand new marine band, which was top of the line at that time. Harmonica.
A marine band, band harmonica.
It's like I had the world in my hand.
Yeah.
So then I started playing, you know, for like evening gathering, dancing, and it went on for a few years like that up until I came back here. When I came here, I used to play every Sunday until the kids started growing up. Then I thought I was probably boring them because when they were growing up, it was, you know, and after a while they said, one day they said, how come that you used to play every Sunday and now you don't? I said, I thought you were boring. Oh, no. They said, no.
They enjoyed it.
But eventually it kind of dropped off. I stopped playing. I was playing very seldom after that up until then I got caught on the Smithsonian.
We're going to talk about that in a moment. What about the dancing? Your dancing?
Well, dancing out there, when a gathering at night or a wedding or whatever party would come on, if they knew that my father was step dancing, and they knew somehow that I had started a little bit of stepping, so when there was a gathering like that, if they knew about this, they'd push you in the middle of the floor, and you had to do something, or else you didn't have a chair to sit on, or you didn't have a chair. So you had to perform, and that's how it started. But it was there was a long line of step dancing in my family on both sides, my mother's side and father's side. In fact, one of my uncles was an exceptional step dancer. I think I've learned a lot of his step.
And we're going to be treated in a few minutes to your performance of step dancing. I want to ask you about, you mentioned the Smithsonian. Now, what's the story on that?
Well,
the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C.
This came about from this. There's a guy by the name of Mr. LaBelle that used to work for the Worcester Telegram. He got wind of this, and he came home.
Now, when we say wind of this, what you're referring to?
Yeah, this is actually because of this, which is
Fiddler Elmo LeBlanc, son of Acadian pioneer.
That was playing. When I heard him play in St. Anthony, I was really amazed by his performance.
So you heard this gentleman play in Canada?
In St. Anthony, New Brunswick. And I started talking with him. I couldn't see him wasting his music. It had to be registered, but he wouldn't hear of it at first. He was very timid. It took me 2 years to convince him. Finally, he came, and Mr. Dennis Cormier is the one that recorded him. I finally convinced him to come to Leominster to record his music. And that, Mr. LaBelle got a hold of this. He got wind of this. So he came home one day. He wanted to talk to me. And from there, before he left, he really pushed me into, he wanted definitely that I play harmonica. I didn't know what it was for, but anyway, I did, even though I didn't have a harmonica that was decent. And that tape went to Washington, which I didn't know up until I got one day there's a call that came in. My wife answered, and she said, when I came home, there's a guy that called from Smithsonian in Washington. I said, Smithsonian? What the heck is Smithsonian? So she explained to me. So she said, she's going to call back. There's a lady that talked. So by the name of Linda Breitag, which I owe a lot of credit to her, because from there, anyway, I agreed to go 10 days. We had a ball. It was very nice. We met a lot of people from all over, from France, from Louisiana, a lot of French people from Louisiana, from the Republic, and Hawaii. There was some from all over.
All people with...
Yeah, they were all people that perform in the Smithsonian. And with that Mr. Spitzer was more or less a scout for talent like that. So he interviewed a lot of us, and he asked me one day, he says, what if I'd ask you, would you consider performing someplace else? He said, if I'd ask you. I said, well, maybe. So the year after, this was, the Smithsonian was 1989, and the following year, he called from Carnegie Hall. Again, I didn't know what Carnegie Hall was. I had never heard of that. The wife knew, and after he spoke to me, I said, well, yeah, I'll give it a try. It was really, that's probably an honor that will never get out of me.
Performing at Carnegie Hall.
It was very, very, Carnegie Hall is not a hall like any other one. Matter of fact, we were fortunate to meet the caretaker of the hall, and he took us right through the hall. And he told us that there was a big band that had come from Spain. They had played there, and they said that they had never played in such a place as Carnegie Hall. It was so
the acoustics
unique.
And
And it was.
so at Carnegie Hall, did you play the harmonica?
Yes, there was we had quite a, I have the picture of the hall here in out front there. I was the third. There was Mrs. Bettium with her accompanist on the piano that came out on stage first. Then Mr. Gilmet from Maine came in, which he was on one end of the stage, and I came in next, which I was on the other end of the stage, which probably was about 40, 50 feet away from me. But one thing they hadn't planned is what he was supposed to play for me to step dance. So when I came in,
you were there to step dance
both.
and to play the
At
harmonica.
first, Mr. Spitzer talked to me a little bit how I got into this, and then he says, "Now, Mr. Richard will demonstrate the harmonica playing." So I played a couple of pieces there. Then after he talked to me again, and it says, "Well, Mr. Richard is also a step dancer." Now he says he'll demonstrate the step dancing. But now there was nothing in between the two, what he was supposed to play for me, the step dance. They had two mics. They had one mic for the play, and they had a piece of plywood, and they had a mic set on the floor. So I said, now I'm not about to cross all the way across to tell him what to play. So I said, well, the only thing I can do is to play and dance at the same time. Mr. Spitzer, he must have been out of his wit because he didn't know what was going on. So I did. I played, I started playing, then I got on to step dancing.
And at Carnegie Hall. So when just thinking about this, a boy on the farm in New Brunswick, and you came to America and you were on the stage at Carnegie Hall, and that's an amazing story.
From New Brunswick that I was going to go in those places, I probably would never move into the state because I was pretty bashful. I was very bashful in my younger age. In fact, it's one of my uncle here, one of my wife's uncle, he really took some of the bashfulness out of me because he used to, I was staying, the first time I came, I was staying over my mother-in-law, and he used to come up every night at supper time, and used to coming back at me and used to say, you know, you can't live on cold water and love. Oh, that used to, but finally it kind of, I kind of got over it a little bit.
Well, and this is an ideal time, just about this time, to show us your harmonica talent, your musical talent, and your step dancing talent. Would you do that for us, please?
Well, I can try. Can give you a little. I don't play too often now, but now and then, we'll try it.
I am very glad your dad gave you that Marine Band harmonica and that you sold those Easter cards for your first harmonica. That was wonderful. It's very hard to stay still when somebody plays music like that.
Well, I used to, when back home, I used to play a lot. In fact, I've seen some night playing for 5, 6 quadrille in a night.
And now, is that a dance?
That's a square dance.
Square dancing?
But not a call dance. It's the French quadrille, which is not called. There's only 7 steps in the whole dance. It's always the same step. It's not, well, it's similar in a way if you want, like call dance. The only thing call dance, there's, as far as I know, there's some 168 step, I think, in the call dance, which we got into call dance once, way back from with the Apple
square dance group.
But I didn't care too much for the call dance because you have to have, see, quadrille, you can talk, you can, it doesn't interfere with the others. The only one it can interfere is the partner that you're facing. But call dance is not that thing. You've got to have your mind on that call all the time, because if you foul up the whole floor.
Right, swing your partner, you have to listen to the calls, otherwise you foul it up.
It's a lot different, a call dance and the quadrille.
Well, would you show us would you demonstrate, please, some of your step dancing talent? I'd love to see this.
Yeah, I suppose.
It is an amazing story, from New Brunswick to Carnegie Hall and now to the studios.
He's got to take.
Okay, that was great. That was great. And for a gentleman who's 70 what?
77.
70, or you're a spry 77, and I think all your attitude and your dancing and all your activities keep you spry and lively.
As long as you don't stop, you can, at least you can keep part of your strength and your ability. But if you stop, everything stops.
Well, don't stop.
Oh, no.
Don't stop.
I don't intend to. I wish that we'd have more occasion to do, this, the dancing, the quadrille, the step dancing, and whatnot.
It is. It's very enjoyable.
When Mr. LeBlanc did the fiddle, when he used to play, we used to do that every Saturday night.
That was wonderful.
And I could go on. Now it's it's like everything else. If you don't stay with it, you always forget some. It comes after doing it a few times.
Then it comes back to you.
You get to remember more the step.
The old times.
And same as the pieces on it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Arcade, Mr. Arcade Richard. Arcade, we want to thank you very much for sharing your time and your talents with us, and to the Leominster viewing audience. Thanks again, Arcade. Thank you.
Thank you.